Shop the Sherwin-Williams Labor Day sale and get 35% off paints and stains August 22nd through September 4th. With prices starting at $31.84, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
the badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
And right now is Like Mother, Like Murder's trial updates, where we will be providing daily coverage in the ongoing trial of Donna Adelson for the murder of Dan Markel. We've been covering this case for years now, and so far, 4 people have been found guilty in the plot to murder this father of 2 young boys.
And Donna Adelson, Dan Markel's former mother-in-law, is the latest conspirator to stand trial for this crime. Rachel and I will be continuing to provide coverage every day, and we'll be joined by special guests throughout this special series. We will be bringing you this every day that there is trial coverage, so let's do this. So today is day 3 of the ongoing trial of Donna Adelson for the murder of Dan Markel. And today, currently, it is just Rachel and I, but there is a chance we will be joined by some special guests. Today might be a quicker one. Today we heard from people we've all heard before, but it was an exciting day because one of my favorite witnesses, we started the day with the one, the only Jeff Lacasse, or Lacasse, however you want to say it, the ex-boyfriend of Wendi Adelson, who basically they broke up like the day before Dan Markel's murder, pretty much.
Yeah, but it seemed as if like they kind of went back and forth anyways, on and off again type thing, where it seemed like maybe he knew things were going to happen because of the relocation, but at the same time, he said, I feel like in his words, he said he was just being strung along.
Exactly.
And all the way up to that point, for someone who I didn't really get to see, or I did not watch a lot from the other trials. And so this was actually the first time that I saw a full thing with him. I did watch the entire thing today, and hearing him talk about things and hearing the things that he had to say about Wendi only allegedly, made me believe even more so than how we ended it yesterday, where I said she was definitely allegedly involved.
Oh, for sure. For sure. One of the big takeaways from Jeff's testimony is yesterday we talked about how Brother Rob thought it was weird that Wendi was talking to him about her love life, aka dating Jeff, which was something she didn't do, and B, that it was a secret from her parents, and she asked Rob, don't tell them. And we hear from Jeff that that can't possibly be true because he'd met her parents several times, and she would even talk about how when her sons were down in South Florida, I would assume with her parents, with the grandparents, that they would be down there talking about Jeff, that he, dating a woman with children, had hung out with the boys several times. So,
Right.
Of course, this is at this point, a kind of he said situation, in so much that, the brother is saying, well, Wendi told me that, the parents didn't know. And Jeff, of course, is saying there's no way that the parents didn't know, but it just kind of sounds like Wendi was not being truthful in that situation. And
yeah, because instantly I'm like, well, I believe both of them.
Yep, exactly.
it's I definitely believe they're both telling the truth in what they believed and what was being told or what was being said to them by these other people involved. So
For sure. That I agree with you 100%. We also hear, and this is something we've heard before, but we hear Jeff testify to the very serious conversation she had with Wendi, uh, or he had with Wendi, where she told him that Charlie had looked into a hitman when it came to Dan Markel. And as I predicted yesterday, we also heard the prosecution question Jeff, and he testified to his theory that Wendi and seemingly her family was, pretty much setting him up to be a fall guy for Dan Markel's murder. And basically, Jeff almost starts, digging into it himself, because he finds out that not only the actual day that Dan Markel was murdered was that Jeff was supposed to be leaving on a trip that would have put his travel on a route by Dan Markel's house, and his leaving Tallahassee the same route that the killers left. Not just that, luckily, right, he left early on his trip because Wendi was sending him really weird messages. But it turns out that on the first trip to Tallahassee that Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera took, where they didn't end up actually committing the hit, he was also, leaving town, and the car they rented.
yeah, exactly.
Right? And
the car was the as close as you could get.
That was his words, right?
Similar vehicle, because no, it's not the exact same make and model, but if someone's like, hey, a gray 4-door sedan, like it is.
Exactly.
It was exactly to a T what you would think, and putting him right in the exact same location.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So that's definitely something. If I was in his position, being strung along by a woman this whole time, and then being broken up with the day before the husband's murder in this very cryptic way, yeah, that would make me very nervous of being. And then, of course, it was just point blank asked him, "Did you know that you were considered a suspect?" And he goes, "Well, yeah."
Right.
I mean, who wouldn't think the boyfriend, in this situation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's common without all of the other
Exactly.
things, so.
For sure. For sure. And then we move on from Jeff, and they interview one of Charlie's ex-girlfriends.
She broke my heart. Like, there was like she was so, Heather, she was so uncomfortable, nervous. You could just see it, and it broke me because I mean, the same thing with Jeff, the same thing with is her name June?
This was
June.
I think this was one of the I can't remember.
That you really do not know who you are surrounding yourself with. And I mean, this could happen to anybody.
Right.
This could happen to literally anybody at any point. You're going to get a phone call that says, hey, we need to talk to you about this person that you were dating however long ago, and it's like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah, because she starts off saying that it was like a fairy tale, and then it just slowly devolves into this whole idea that, oh my God, this guy I'm dating was who I thought was a fairy tale, was involved in a murder for hire. And you can tell she's uncomfortable. You can tell this is not a courtroom is not where she spends her time. And, she's trying to be as honest as she can. They're telling her, didn't you say that? Didn't you say that? And she's like, well, if it's written there, then I said it. Like, I don't know what else you want me to, she's doing the best she can, but she's obviously uncomfortable. Yeah. And, I know this girl, I just was like, I'm, I
felt for her for sure. And then after, round one of questioning was done, before, the opposite team can do something about it, she was gonna get up and walk away. They're like,
I know.
"You're not finished.
You need to sit back down." And she's like, "Oh God, okay, I'm sorry." And she was so sweet about it, but you could tell this was not where, and she had testified before, but she's not comfortable with this. She's just like, this is just, not in her realm. And then she was followed by one of Charlie's friends who was almost the exact opposite on the stand, very confident, very sure of himself. And but they were mainly there to establish things about Charlie, a lot of just foundational stuff, and much of it didn't have very specific things to do with Donna. It was a lot laying the foundation to make connections with Charlie, which is what we see a lot throughout, this trial. Of course, we haven't seen Charlie hit the stand yet. So what we're seeing is, we're starting from the beginning. So we're talking now, we're laying we're making these connections from, the killers to Katy Magbanua, to Charlie, and then eventually to Donna. So then the prosecution starts bringing in these experts. So the next couple of state's witnesses, right, are these is this financial investigator who basically, she was looking through all of the Adelson's financials, and she was basically there to establish that the Adelsons had a lot of money that they were moving around and filtering throughout their business, and paying back and forth to each other, and through this and through that, and through cars, and through the Adelson Institute, and to Katy Magbanua in various ways, through cars, through insurance payments, through gifts, through flights for her and her mom, through paychecks from the Adelson Institute. And the one thing that I thought was really well done is the way that they graphed that these actual checks that they paid Katy Magbanua with, they established the timeline that all of these payments started after the murder of Dan Markel, and then they stopped right around the time of the bump, or that that undercover operation where they pretend to bribe, basically, or blackmail the Adelsons, and that's kind of when everything comes crashing down. Now, obviously, a lot of this is not new. A lot of this came out at Katy's trial and at Charlie's trial. We saw a lot of this, but to link this all to Donna specifically, we have to remember this is Donna Adelson's trial. It was specified that Donna is a signing agent for the Adelson Institute. She was referred to as an office manager, and so she had the ability to sign checks, move money around. She doesn't need approval from the owner or the manager or whatever. And I think they said that Katy Magbanua was given a total of 44 checks, each and every one of them signed off by Donna Adelson. Now, they try to raise the fact that, look, Donna Adelson signed everyone's checks who worked at that dentist practice. Now, that may be true. It was true that she did sign everyone's checks. But later on, they called to the stand a former worker from that Adelson Institute who'd worked there for 40 years or something. A long-ass time. And she confirmed that besides the family, Harvey, Charlie, and Donna, there were only 3 or 4 other employees there. So, every month, Donna's signing checks for 3 or 4 other employees, right? Besides, cutting checks for her husband and her son. And so it's she was cutting checks for Katy, right? And then they also confirmed that Katy, other than going into the institute once to get dental work done, she didn't work there. She didn't work there. This former employee was the sweetest lady. She confirmed, she worked there for 40 years as Harvey's assistant. She said she knew her as a patient, that she had come in a few times to get work done, maybe once or twice to get work done. But she didn't work there. She didn't work there as a dental assistant. She didn't work there to clean. They talked about, you contracted out cleaning the office. Did she clean there? Nothing. Katy Magbanua was Donna Adelson.
The payroll.
Exactly. She was on the payroll
for something else.
Well, for something else. And Donna Adelson signed those checks. The other thing that was interesting, right, that they really laid out well was that, these were regular employees that were supposed to get paid every 2 weeks. But interestingly, there were several of Katy Magbanua's checks that were sequential. So it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to pay my 3-4 employees every 2 weeks, cut them checks. So, every check you get is maybe spaced out by 4 or 5 check numbers, whatever it is. No, these were sequential checks. And so there was a couple times that she got sequential checks.
Yep.
And they weren't spaced out every 2 weeks with the other employees. That was also a really good piece of evidence that they called out. And those checks, along with that former worker from the dental practice right there, really shows that Katy Magbanua, exactly, that Katy Magbanua was getting paid by Donna Adelson for something that she was not. She was getting paid for something she was not not doing. And then that brought Katy Magbanua, right?
Sure did. Brought her right up on there.
And it's hard with her because she has a pretty messy history. She was given immunity. She was given an immunity deal, but she refused it. And this is when her original immunity deal was when her baby daddy was going on trial, and she didn't want to take it. I believe because
of the death penalty.
Right. And as her baby daddy, she was like, no, I can't do that. And then when she went on trial, she basically was pleading not guilty, saying like, look, you guys got everything right, except for the fact that like I was not involved in this. And then when Charlie got on trial, she, kind of recanted everything and said, look, you guys you had everything right. And she testified in so much as that. And so, she's basically saying the same story that she held at Charlie's trial. And, pretty much the same stuff we've seen before. But the big takeaway here, that is really pertaining to Donna is that when Katy and Charlie would be discussing, the hit, basically, Charlie straight up asked her, hey, I want to hurt this guy.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I know someone who could do that for you. And they would be discussing what would become the murder of Dan Markel. That she said he would several times basically call his mom in the middle of the conversation. She doesn't know what they discussed, but that he would
just walk away, look at him, and or look at her, and they'd have a discussion and come back in.
So she does know that in the middle of discussing the murder of Dan Markel, Charlie would talk to his mother. I mean, and the prosecution made it very clear that at the before her testimony that Katy's getting nothing out of this testimony. She hopes that one day she'll get the chance to see her kids again, but no one's offered her a deal at this point. Right now, she's serving life for the murder of Dan Markel. There's no deals on the table for her. She hopes that maybe one day, maybe she could get paroled and she'll get the chance to see her kids. But at this point, she's just telling the truth because she's like, I feel like in her head, she's like, fuck, if I'm going down, everybody's going down with me, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is ultimately she was the middleman. She has taken that responsibility. It's disgusting.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
Nasty. And the thing is like, just how you said it, every single person that was connected to this is going down.
Right.
So,
yeah.
the more that comes out, the more I'm like, well, there's other people that
Right.
it's coming.
Right. And of course, the other thing that they said, which I thought was interesting, was at one point when Katy got an initial cash payment right after the murder of Dan Markel, when she was literally holding the physical cash, she asked Charlie, like, why is it wet? And he said, oh, my mom washed the money. And I was like, okay, it's a detail again that connects Donna,
Right.
but there's that. The thing is, and again, I could be completely partial and I'm biased here, but the cross for Katy Magbanua, horrible. The defense here just does not. I mean, if you were going to basically be able to rip apart a witness, this is a witness you can rip apart. She's lied under oath. She's gone back and forth on her testimony. She's literally guilty of murder. Like, you could rip this apart. She's a guilty party, and they just, I feel, did not do a great job of explain. I feel like they could have done a lot better. I mean, not that I want this woman. I mean, but what I'm saying, well,
I do.
I mean, what I'm saying, I mean Donna. Not that I want Donna to get away with anything. But I just feel like they could have done a better job. One thing they tried to do, and they did manage to establish, was that Katy, because she said so herself, didn't have direct contact with Donna. Okay, we've established that. But you don't need direct contact with Donna to, confirm that she is party to this plot to murder Dan Markel. I mean, Charlie didn't really have exactly like Charlie didn't have direct contact with Sigfredo Garcia or Luis Rivera, other than a random, I think they had like a random phone call previous to it because they fought about something random over Katy. But it's like Charlie Adelson's in jail without direct contact with the murderers, like the actual hitmen. He's in jail. Katy doesn't need direct contact with Donna to establish guilt. And so they're trying to prove that, and they did. They successfully proved Katy Magbanua. Did you ever have direct contact with Donna Adelson? Well, no. It all went through Charlie, but that doesn't mean she's not guilty.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you said it just there. That's where my brain went instantly, was the fact that, I mean, this all happened from an envelope.
Yes.
It was all from a Charlie handing Katy an envelope and saying to give it to someone. She never even said who it was going to be to either of them.
She never opened it.
He didn't know, back and forth. So it's like, it's one of those things where that is ridiculous. If you think, oh, well, because she never spoke to her face to face, she can't be a guilty party. False. We already know that that's, not accurate.
That's not something that needs to be. Yeah, exactly. So after Katy's testimony, then they bring in Sergeant Corbett from the Tallahassee PD, who's I think he's like a forensic communication specialist or something like that, which he's basically like a numbers guy for communication. So he's numbers and emails and text messages. And basically, he's there to kind of testify about all the convoluted conversations and, communications between all the Adelsons and all of the people involved in this plot and eventual murder of Dan Markel. And basically, they're saying that one thing that I wrote down in my notes, it actually has not a lot to do with the actual murder, but really does speak to Donna Adelson's character and the amount of involvement she really had in her children's life. There was this email to Wendi where Donna is saying that you need to make sure you tell the judge, Wendi, that because I and your dad have to go up to Tallahassee so often to help you, We have to go up to Tallahassee so often to help you, that we're making less money at our business. And that's a hardship. It's really impacting us and your brother because he's not able to, do the business that he needs to do. And that's really causing a problem. And I'm like, how does this, how does I mean, I get it. You're helping, your daughter with the child care, but at the end of the day, she's a full-grown adult with a job of her own.
Yeah, and what does relocation do? Just make the dad have to struggle?
Exactly.
Complaining about? Shut your face.
What in the world? What in the actual world? I was just like, oh my God, you're so self-centered. You're like inserting your problems into your daughter's. It was just very. It, again, I think just spoke to Donna's involvement and her manipulation and just like her desperation and like the lengths that she would go to to get what she wanted. And then
definitely
this Sergeant Corbett, he also testified to a lot of texts between Donna and Charlie, a lot of their communication about Wendi, and just like the problems that Wendi was having with Dan. And then we spoke about this too, I think, briefly. I know we've talked about it before on the podcast. We might have mentioned it before, in the last couple of days too, but about Wendi wanting to buy a house, which Donna and Charlie really didn't want her to do, and how Donna had basically tasked Charlie with basically convince your sister not to buy this house, and then Charlie really, really being like, yes, mom, I'm gonna make sure I get her not to buy this house. And then him, running back to his mom, I did it. She's not gonna buy it. And her replying back, basically, good boy, you did such a good job. Mama's so happy.
Yeah.
And it's just like the dynamic is just like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's very
definitely. It's such a. I mean, the name of this trial, the matriarch.
Oh yeah, matriarch, mastermind, whatever.
Yeah, it fits to a T.
Oh, 100%.
Every single person that goes up there says the exact same thing when it comes to her character, that she is controlling. She is, the one who ran the show when it came to the Adelson family, which, let me say, is not particularly a bad thing in certain.
No.
The controlling portion, yes, but the matriarchy, the bringing your family together, being that solid foundation for your family is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Given all the other details,
the manipulation, the controllingness, yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. Yeah, I definitely see it, and I think that they're definitely laying a lot of good, strong foundation. You can see that they're really, really doing a good job demonstrating and just setting up this pattern that Donna had her hands in everything when it came to the Adelsons. That B, Charlie basically was in constant communication with his mom. There's nothing that Charlie was doing that his mom didn't know about, basically.
Yeah.
I think part of the communication thing that Corbett did was he, established like how much the Adelsons were talking to each other and like the constant back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I mean, there wasn't a day, even when they were out of the country, right, that went by that they weren't in constant communication. And that communication and a lot of times during this time period, right, had to do about Wendi. So I think that they're laying a really strong foundation. And the next thing that I'm really, really looking forward to, seeing in this is when they interview the detectives about the bump. I know that's going to come up this week. It might even be as soon as tomorrow, but that's really where we're going to see Donna Adelson's direct interactions with this, because she is the one that they walk up to initially and, try to basically blackmail. So that's where she's going to get super involved, and I will be interested to see how that goes. I'm really not sure what the defense, because so far their crosses have been meager, and they're just not being very aggressive.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say, what is the defense doing? But their tactics are not something that makes sense to me at this point.
I mean, they're very. I mean, they are. They're asking the right questions, I guess, to show that, like, look, Donna. I mean, they're showing, like, yeah, Donna could not have been involved. They're just not doing it very aggressively. And I feel, I don't know. So maybe they'll bring out some witnesses that could be doing a better job. I mean, maybe, when Charlie comes on the stand, that's where they'll really be able to do it. I don't know. We'll have to see. But until tomorrow, we'll have to find out. We'll have to find out. Anything else that sticks out for you today?
No, I think that's it. I really, all I will add right here is, like, I don't sit down and watch trials the way that I have been the past couple days. It's been very eye-opening for me to kind of see the whole process, because it's not something I really am super knowledgeable about. Anything that I've done research-wise for, like, Mother Like Murder or anything, it's like I watch clips or I read articles or I kind of don't get the full picture. So it's really been eye-opening for me to watch all of this happen. So I'm just eager for the rest of it.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? How it's hard because there's a quite a bit of breaks. If you guys have never watched a trial, like, from start to end, there's a lot of breaks. There's a lot of, especially in trials like this, where it's been, I mean, they're on their 5th trial at this point with a lot of the same evidence. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of sidebar, a lot of objection, a lot of no, which isn't, which isn't unheard of, but there's, like, a lot of sidebar. Okay, you can continue with this line of questioning and strike this from the record, and but there's a lot of breaks. There's actually, like, a decent amount of especially in this one. I don't know if you caught the joke where before they were bringing in Charlie's ex-girlfriend, they couldn't track her down, and the and the judge was like, FBI.
Yep.
So there is, a certain amount of levity, which is hard because, someone did die. But, if you're going to go through 2 weeks of this, you have to have some certain amount of levity if you're going to be able to make it through. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because these trials are supposed to be adversarial, but at the same time, these people have been in each other's company. This prosecutor and for months now, years at this point. So if it's just this animosity nonstop, that's got to be stressful. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. And we shall see if this is if y'all like this trial coverage and there's more trials you want us to cover like this. You have to let us know. I'm enjoying this so far, but of course I have a vested interest in this trial. And right now, is a good time. I have the time to actually watch this one, so it's the timing's good. But if this is something you guys are liking, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back tomorrow with the next one. I mean, I'm already like, who is it going to be?
I know.
I wish they have, like, a list for me to look at it.
There is a list somewhere. Maybe I can try to track it down, but you never know. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yep. You're on it. See, you're already a pro.
Right. I'm in this, man.
I love it. All right. Well, until tomorrow.
All right. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay. Love you. Bye.